currently studying chemical engineering. So my own understanding on pipeline is about the mapping around of underground pipelines, the way it is mapped underground, and the navigation and everything about pipeline. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's move to Bashir. Bashir, you introduce yourself. Tell us what you have worked on pipeline leakage prediction. Okay, thank you very much. So I would like us to give room for Dada Razak. Please introduce yourself and tell us more on your pipeline leakage, your understanding of pipeline leakage prediction.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Dada Razak, electrical engineer working with Globalcom. Although I don't really work directly with a pipeline, but with my automation engineering knowledge, when we talk about pipeline leakage prediction, it's a more of a preventive measure, not a corrective measure. You don't have to wait for the pipeline to burst before you, when you maybe your sensors or maybe differential pressure sensors to okay, what's the required pressure at every point, and if there's any deviation from the pressure or other parameters that you put in place, then your PLC or your SCADA system can give it an alarm that okay, there's a there's a there's a there's a you can flag it so that people can check okay what is happening there before it will now generate to leakages. So it's more of a preventive measures, and there are things that can be bought. Basically, you use sensor because most of pipeline they are being incorporated with a SCADA system for monitoring and real time control. So thank you. So I'm not a student per se. I'm a graduate from University of Lagos.
Thank you very much, sir. Your point has been noted and really appreciate it. So I would like to move to the next presenter, Mr. Wahid Moses.
Okay, thank you, moderator. Good day, everyone. Um, I am a postgrad at the University of the Witwatersrand, South Africa. So I was able to get the link from Prof and got interested in the pipeline aspect of the projects that were advertised. And the reason being that there was a plan to do something similar before while I was in Nigeria some few years back before I I had to go for further studies, and so I want to see what development has been made in that light. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much, Mr. Wahid. Without wasting much of our time, I'd like us to go to what we are trying to do, trying to come up with on pipeline leakage prediction. So I will call on Abdullah Ironica to tell us what we have been doing on pipeline leakage prediction so far as a group.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am. My name is Abdullah Oyedogun. I'll talk about what we've done so far on pipeline. Currently, I'm currently working on pipeline types, different types of pipeline, and so according to my research so far, I'll be sharing some of the things I've done on pipeline types and the way we can detect leakages. So I'll talk about the leakage detection in water pipeline by means of pressure measurement for WSN. That particular paper is actually talking about that's for water pipeline. For our this particular one I'm talking about here is actually talking about water pipeline, and there's also one that talking about line damage and leak detection based on sound. This particular paper is talking about how we can use sound spectrum like LPCC and HMM to detect leak detection and pipeline damage. And there's also another one talking about um, statistical analysis for underground pipeline, typical accident and numerical simulation research. So it's talking about how we can get the analysis of underground pipeline, where we can monitor the pipeline underground without even going near it. Just by our system and our phone, we can detect what's going on with the pipeline or anyone trying to vandalize the pipeline. Those are just parts of what pipeline types and leakage system on pipeline. So my current other team members are working on different. Some are working on pipeline sensors and different types. So we have the other team members are also working on different sectors like different divisions on pipeline, just on pipeline leakage system. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Abdullah. So if I get you well, you are talking on types of pipeline, the size of pipeline, and how what we can use to predict the size and how it will leak at the long run. And if it is leaking, to what extent can the type of the pipe material used in making the pipeline affect the leakage, right?
Absolutely, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, I'd like to welcome Waima Alayaki to our meet. Waima, we have been talking about what we have done on pipeline leakage prediction, and now we are trying to come up with a paper on it. So I'd like us to give us what you have researched and give us a brief background of what you have been doing. Thank you very much. Waima Alayaki. In the absence of Waima, I think she's working on some other thing. I would like to tell us what other people have been doing in regards to pipeline. Review of several papers have been done on the dimensionality of pipeline and how the dimensionality of the pipeline affects leakages. And it's been researched, so like people have worked on two-dimensional pipeline and three-dimensional pipeline, and it's been proved to some reasonable extent that three-dimensional have much thickness over two-dimensional pipeline when it is being used in transporting oil. So the rate at which three-dimensional pipeline leaks is low compared to two-dimensional pipeline, and lots of research papers have backed that up, and which has been conducted in recent times. Another member of our team is working on environmental factors that could affect leakage of pipeline. Though it has not been proved to some extent, but what we have been able to ascertain is that when there is climatic change for pipelines under the water, there can be some shrinking that could cause rusting of pipeline when they are using metal pipeline. So that's what we have been able to come up with. So we need suggestions on what you think we can still look at, because so far I've talked about, we have looked at types of pipe that are used for pipeline. We have also talked about environmental changes, how it affects pipe, We also talk about the dimensionality of the pipes that are being used. So those are the three areas that we have been concentrating on to predict. We have not been fully concentrating on the method that we can use in predicting it or the machine learning algorithms to use so far. Thank you very much. So I would like you to contribute, suggest to us if we should look at more area before going into the machine learning algorithms. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Wahid Moses Audu, please, you can make your suggestion or ask any question about the project. I'll be, if I can answer your question, I'll be
All right, thank
forwarding
you.
it to. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. I from what I've gathered, it's a more it's the scope is limited to water pipelines in water, and I think that's a good starting point so that questions will not be asked outside of pipe pipes that are used for water. And well, so but maybe you have the details on the types of pipes and the materials that you found that in making them, and what is the major cause of that leakage. Particularly, we know that rust is a factor, and so is it a pipe that is, you know, that is prone to leakage because of rust if it is steel, or is it a pipe that is prone to leakage because of environmental factor, maybe the heat or the pollution, maybe by reason of by an accident, maybe, you know, somehow, whatever. I just wanted to know if you have such details. Thank you.
Actually, sir, we have such details about the particular pipeline we have for some. There are some pipelines that we can't use in some environment, and there are some pipelines. So you've already said about rust in on pipeline. So for us, if we want to put create a pipe, leak a pipeline now from one particular place to another place, we are going to consider those factors too about rust and everything. And vandalizing too is also a factor to be considered too, sir. So we consider all those factors. And according to the research I'm currently working on, I've already seen something like that on the environmental factors to be considered, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. Rust actually occur when we make use of metal pipes for the pipeline. I made mention of it since in case the pipes are passed underwater. The research paper seen on that talk about metal pipe. So you have not been able to ascertain if it can affect three deep pipes and two deep pipes in terms of leakage. And what we are really talking about is leakage, whereby Stokes laws and if there is even little opening in pipe, it can affect the this can affect leakage and increase the leakage of oil. So that's what we are trying to look about. So the vandalization aspect, we are not really look at it due to the fact that we are looking at other factors and not human factors. But now that you mentioned, maybe we are going to include human factors to our school. Thank you very much for opening our eyes to that.
Sir, Mr. Wahid Moses, you can proceed with your suggestion, sir.
Yes, thank you for that reply. I also just got thinking, I'm so curious. So I wanted to know this pipeline. What's your what is it conveying? Is it liquid, solid? What's the scope of what it will be conveying? Is it, waste?
We are
What kind?
working.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you very much. We are working on a grant from Petroleum Development Fund. So we are actually looking at crude oil.
So your pipe, the pipe of consideration is the one that will carry crude oil.
Yes, thank you. The one for petroleum and petroleum products.
Oh, okay. Why I'm asking, because
Oil and gas.
the crude. Yeah, okay. I'm asking because if it's gas, yeah, so it would, there are variations in what factors will be considered compared to when it's liquid. So I just needed to be guided. Thank you.
So since with the absence of any suggestion or any question, I, I think we'll end the meeting now and we'll meet tomorrow exact time again and further our research on the project and we'll continue from where we stop, sir.
So sorry. Well done. What's the takeaway from this today's meet today's call? So what's the takeaway and what are we to look towards to tomorrow so that we can all be on the same page?
So we tasked ourselves to review 2020 papers on each factors that have been identified. Now we are adding human factor to it, like vandalization. What we have been doing before has not taken that into consideration. So I would like to suggest that if we can look for 10 papers on it, because what we are trying to produce is I we published paper to publish paper in an index journal on pipeline leakage prediction. That's what we are trying to look at. So we are trying to review papers. So that our take home now is to review 10 papers each on how human factors can affect pipeline leakage, putting everything that has been taught in the first section in mind. Thank you. I believe my highlight is clear to everyone. We would like everyone to review 10 papers on how human factor vandalization can affect pipelines, pipe used for carrying petroleum or oil and gas products across Africa. If so, for us not to limit it to Nigeria alone. Mr. Dada, I hope I've answered your questions. I hope everyone has gotten the take home.
Okay. And you said that it is 2020 papers for now. The 10 papers should be published on 2020 papers, which is recent papers.
Can limit it to like 7 years back or 10 years back maximum.
Okay.
Thank you very
Human.
much.
Okay. 10 papers on the standardization and
I think I.
Take it out to the class. Or I should drop the website.
A website
hello.
has been built for us to get. We can get papers from that website. In the absence of any questions, suggestions, or comments, I'd like to end the meeting.
Sorry. I want to. This the topic is pipeline leakage prediction. So
Prediction.
Yes, how does vandalization come study with that topic?
That's what some Mr. Wahid suggested that we should consider human factors, how human
Okay.
factors affect pipeline leakage. So that's why we are working on vandalization. It wasn't in our scope
No, no,
before.
no, but no, no, but no, when we talk about prediction, can we predict? Is there any way to predict human intervention or vandals activities on the pipeline so that we need to be concurrent with the topic. So I want to be clear. Let's be clear that okay, we're talking about pipeline leakage
We
prediction technique. So how
can
does
review,
you understand
we
my
can
point?
review, yes, I understand you, sir. We can
Okay,
review paper on how vandalization affects pipeline leakage. Do
leakage.
you get
Okay,
how it affects pipeline leakage? Because we have been looking at how the dimension of the pipe can affect it, how the types of the pipe used can affect it, how environment can affect it. Now, so now we are just trying to put that to as part of our scope,
scope.
how
Okay,
it
No,
can
sorry.
affect. The prediction will actually be done using some machine learning algorithms. Hope you get it. But we are trying to put all this in our review paper, literature review.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, just to come in quickly. Actually, environmental. So we could classify human under the environmental. So because it depends on the region, actually, the activities, the kind of activities that are going on in that region area. So some pipelines will be cutting across, will be passing through regions that are, very, busy, so it exposes it to more possibility, likelihood of getting vandalized than some other regions also. Then we can also get records, history of, what has been the previous causes of pipeline leakages. And you discover that majorly is vandals that usually, you know, um, you know, attack this pipe. So you would want to make sure that you can predict, for example, what time of the day do they usually do this, and then and some other factors. So because you are going to be using machine learning will need a lot of information to make good prediction. So that's why I guess the scope is, kind of being expanded to consider many more variables that are, you know, uh, potential source of leakage. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wahid, for the
okay, okay.
clarification.
I get. Thank you, sir.
Please, I would like everyone to drop their WhatsApp number so that we can add you to our group. Please drop your WhatsApp number. We would like to add you to our group for. Okay, thank you very much, sir. So we meet tomorrow the same time. I'd like to say good day and thank you for being part of our discussion.
Bye.
Goodbye, sir. Maybe you have pipelines.